Alright, welcome to another video, and before we get started, I'd like to take a quick minute to thank all the Patreon supporters and YouTube channel members whose names you see scrolling across the screen right now. They make this financially possible, and without you, I probably wouldn't be here making videos, so thank you. Alright, so I just decided I would do a quick update video just to kind of show you what's on my workbench, because I've actually been flying quite a lot. I've been putting a lot of flights on that one, on the AR Pro. Been doing some testing for Walksnail. You can see I still have the V2 transmitter and the night camera, the Pro camera or whatever. And I'm back to the Rush FPV Cherry. You might have saw one of my recent videos where I tested some antennas from Video Aerial Systems. I've gone back to the stock transmitter antenna right now, as well as the stock VRX patches and the triple feed patches, just to finish up the testing with the Walksnail stuff to keep it kind of more consistent. But anyway, like I said, I've been flying that one a lot lately, but most of it is kind of boring stuff, so it hasn't really been making it onto the channel. But I will show you some video from that one, take some of the interesting bits, and we'll put them at the end of this video probably. Might even close out with a long flight for that one. But this one is the old Dart 250. Nothing too special about it, same old Dart 250 that I've been having for a while now. And I've decided to go ahead and get it out and update the camera. This is a Caddx Ratel. This is actually the one that used to be on the little Eagle before I put Walksnail in it. So I had that one sitting around on the workbench just kind of back here in a mess, and it was being unused. So I went ahead and swapped it out. The camera I had on there before was this one right here. It's we can get it to focus. It's the Runcam Micro Sparrow 2. Didn't remember the name right offhand, but that's the one that I flew on it until recently. The last few flights I've had this Caddx Ratel, and I kind of like the Ratel better. It works a little bit better, a little bit more modern camera. But most interestingly, I've changed out the receiver. As you can see down in here, that's the receiver. It's just kind of hanging on those wires right in there. But I previously had a Crossfire Nano receiver in it, and I actually stole the receiver out of this one to put in the Penguin that I built recently. So I decided I'd go ahead and put this receiver, which is a FrSky R9mm. Now it is flashed with eLRS firmware, as is my old FrSky R9M module. I had this module and that R9mm receiver that's in here now, as well as a Slim Plus, the old original R9 Slim Plus. And I kind of give it up on the FrSky stuff, and I wasn't really flying it or anything, and that stuff was probably never going to be used again. So I decided it was sitting around not doing anything, so I went ahead and just kind of out of boredom one day, I had some time to kill, and I decided I would put eLRS on it and see how it worked out. And surprisingly, it works quite well. I don't really know what I'm doing as far as setting eLRS up properly. I mean, I kind of have a decent understanding of it. I'm going to read through the manual and about the telemetry rates, and or the packet rate and the telemetry speed ratio, whatever the number is for it. And I've kind of just gave it a quick setup, and it works. I've actually had this out to 4 miles recently, and not a lot of altitude either. If I remember right, it was like 250, 260 feet, something like that. And like I said, you can see that little receiver is just right down in there, and my antenna wire comes out the underside of the wing there, and I have one of those little kind of wire whisker antennas. That's the ground lead on the antenna hanging right down there, and then I have the active element in that little antenna tube, which honestly probably throws off the tuning a little bit, being a plastic tube. And it's just kind of glued through the hole in the wing there. And it seems to work fine. I haven't had any issues with it. Another small change I made, I changed out the transmitter antenna. That's my transmitter is down here in this little 3D printed cover. This is actually a AKK X2 Ultimate, same one that's been in it for quite a while now. And I was actually running a this little antenna right here, little Speedy Bee antenna that's on the Airwing Pro. I used to run that one on here, but I put it on that little wing. It kind of worked out better on there. And initially I replaced it with this little Foxeer Lollipop that I used to run on here. And I kind of like this Menace RC antenna, and it's a little bit lower profile. I think it looks better back there. So I swapped it out and put that one on it. And that was on there for the 4-mile flight. And the only other change I made to it was the servos. I replaced those with some of these Eachine servos that I had laying around. These work fine. The originals seem to work fine too, but I was having a problem with the plane when I pull up hard on the elevator. It tends to roll to the left. It's always done that, and nothing I've done has been able to correct it. And I thought maybe the servos were to blame, or at least partially to blame. So I had these extra ones laying around and went ahead and swapped them out. And it really didn't change anything. It still has that tendency to roll to the left when I pull up hard. So maybe it's just, I mean, the only thing not symmetrical in the airplane is the antenna being on this wing. And previously I had a crossfire antenna right there. But honestly, I don't think that profile of that little antenna tube is going to be enough to make the airplane fly that bad, you know. It flies fine, though, until you pull up on the elevator. So, I mean, it could just be something twisting in the airframe or something. I don't know. But I've given up on working that out of it and just kind of accepted that it's going to be there because it flies fine otherwise. So, I'll put some video of this one going out to 4 miles. And like I said, I was running the ELRS on it, and you can kind of see my link quality and dBm values up there. And now it was running on dynamic power up to up to 500 milliwatts. And from my understanding, it needs telemetry to work out the dynamic power. It needs to be able to talk back and forth both ways to figure out how much power it needs. So once it loses that telemetry link, it's going to push the power up to 500 milliwatts. But I noticed it doing that, kind of dropping in and out. I think the telemetry was dropping in and out, and it was kind of bumping the power up before it really needed to. And otherwise, it worked fine. So I'm pretty happy with the ELRS stuff, just kind of giving the old R9 hardware a new lease on life. So that was the turnaround point at 4 miles rather, and moving on to the Airwing Pro. Like I said, we've been flying Walksnail test firmware on this one. I'm included in a group of guys that's testing firmware and giving them feedback on new changes that are going to go into the next firmware release. Some of it's been good, some of it's been kind of 1 step forward, 2 steps back type of thing, typical stuff, but I think that's why they're trying to test it with a closed group of guys that are willing to test firmware and understand that it's not always going to be perfect. But I think they're getting pretty close to a release. So I'll close out this video with a 5-mile flight that I did on the latest firmware that we're testing right now. And I don't see any issues with it. Everything worked fine. The plane's been flying good. It's been serving me well. Pretty good little workhorse there. And I'm pretty happy with it. Before we go, some of the people have asked a couple of times how I do my Dragon Link setup, because I am using Dragon Link in the Airwing Pro. It's very reliable, even flying at the low altitudes and kind of long distances that we've been doing, testing the Walksnail stuff. And I say long distances, most of my flying's been within 4 miles. I did the 1 mile, or the one flight out to 5 miles, so I'll show you that one. But this is the Dragon Link transmitter I use, which is a Moxon antenna with a standard Dragon Link 915 megahertz transmitter. I have it mounted on this little 3D printed box back here that houses a FrSky 2.4 gigahertz receiver. You see the cable comes out of there and talks to the Dragon Link transmitter. So that's my relay setup. You see I have a power lead here from a battery that I power it with, and that just kind of clips onto my tripod. So that sits outside, and I communicate to that with my Radiomaster TX16S, which I can show you here, which I've actually given a facelift recently. If you've paid attention to the channel in the past, you know Radiomaster did give me this radio to review. I already had purchased one myself, which is over here. I still have it. This is kind of my backup radio This is my older TX16S that I bought, and then they gave me this one later, the Max version. You can see my customized name there on the power switch, and the pretty aluminum stuff all over it. But I originally got this one with the silver faceplate. And I really liked the look of the silver faceplate, but it was always collecting fingerprints and smudges. It was really hard to keep it clean. So I went ahead and ordered that carbon faceplate and swapped that out there recently. And I thought about doing the gimbals too, but the stock gimbals are working fine for me, and I didn't really see the point of spending the money they cost for the kind of flying I do when these are working fine. So I just kept these for now. But anyway, we're rambling on, talking about all kind of stuff now, and it's supposed to be a quick update video, and we still have a 5-mile flight to do. So I'll probably skip ahead in that flight and kind of show you some of the portion out over the river, close to the 5-mile turnaround and back. And then, yeah, hopefully it's just been an enjoyable video and entertaining, and kind of updating you on where I'm at. And hopefully we'll be doing some more narrated flying videos here pretty soon. So just keep an eye out for that. And I guess I'll see you all in the next ones. Thank you for watching this one.